I don't know what I'm in for here. It could be all very bad. It could be all very artificial. I don't know. Some of these claim to have natural ingredients. Welcome back to Bourbon Friday. Because I'm doing Dry January, I wanted to do something for those teetotalers out there. As you can see, we're trying a little bit different setup today. I wanted to be able to have the bottles out in front of me. If you remember way back in episode 21 of the show, we had Jeff Stevens of WellBeing who said,
I do not know if we will ever take alcohol out of bourbon.
Probably not.
I don't think so.
That's a different trick.
And here we are over 3 years later. And what do we have? NA whiskey alternatives. And that's because the NA spirits world is booming. This market is expected to be $30 billion by 2025. And in the US alone, NA spirits grew 113.4% last year. Recently, more than 40 of these alcohol alternative brands created the Adult Non-Alcoholic Beverage Association. 4 of those companies are represented here: Ritual Zero Proof, Spiritless, Lyres, and the Free Spirits Company. What we're trying to figure out is which of these, or any of these, you want to have on your bar. So we will do a scoring of these on taste, smell, look, and feel, and count them up and see who wins. The most important part here is taste and smell. So I will do this in 2 ways. First, a blind, and then a cocktail challenge. The blind will weigh 50% of the score. So let's start with the blind tasting. So I haven't really had any of these non-alcoholic spirits or anything like that. I don't know what I'm in for here. It could be all very bad. It could be all very artificial. I don't know. Some of these claim to have natural ingredients. But, you know, we're gonna start out left to right and see how it goes. All right. Okay, so this does not smell like whiskey at all. It's got a little citrusy to it. There's some kind of baking spice there as well. All right. Cheers. It barely tastes like anything. There's a little bit of oak there. A little touch of sweetness. The mouthfeel is nothing like whiskey. It tastes like very little, with a little charry oak. On the finish doesn't do anything. There's no burn here at all. Whoever this company is, some of these companies add a little bit to their spirits to give it sort of an artificial burn that the alcohol might have. All right. Well, if that's representative, I did not enjoy that. Well, let's go with number 2. Okay, interestingly, there's a little butteriness in this. There's like a real hint of caramel, like hint, nothing heavy. Okay, this one has the extra heat. I would suspect it's like capsaicin or something like that. It hit me in the back of the throat, gives me a little warmth. It's not a Kentucky hug, but there is a little warmth there. But there's no spikiness to any of this. It all just tastes like room temperature liquid. Yeah, all the flavors are dialed very far down in this compared to any whiskey that I drink. But yeah, it's got some capsaicin or something in it that is you can feel in your throat. All right, number 3. Sort of a similar kind of buttery note to the other one. Maybe a little bit mix of that cinnamon, baking spice style thing. There's a little citrus in there. Yeah, I mean, so far none of these have any whiskey characteristics that I would claim. I'd say the first one has the most of that oak char. Neither one of these seems to have. This is like, I just keep getting this spice burn in my throat. I might go good in a cocktail. I don't think neat is the way to go on this. None of these, if I were them, I would ratchet up the sweetness on these, to be honest. And I know some of these are trying to stay low-cal, but it is totally missing the sweetness of whiskey, completely. All right, we got the final one here. There's a hint of oak in there. All I'm getting here is a little citrusy, maybe a little bit of oak. Let's give her a shot. This one doesn't have the spiciness in it, which is good. Oof. Okay. This one isn't terrible. Is that a good way to put that? None of these taste like whiskey. Certainly they don't come close to the punch of bourbon. Like the flavors just aren't there. Maybe some of the underlying notes, maybe if I had a better sense of smell, better palate, I might be able to detect these things better, but for me, they're just not there at all. Okay. The nose on this, I think, is better than all the rest. It's a little bit, got more to it. Oh, and then when this one is sweeter, but man, it's got a weird funk to it now that I've tasted the rest of these. This is why I like to calibrate against things, but all right. Nose on this one is the best, followed by this, then this, then this. Oh, wow, that just tastes weird. Ugh, okay. I'm gonna go 4. The smell, there's something a little artificial to it, but it's not unpleasant on these guys. That's subtle. That's less subtle. Compared to the other two, this tastes like nothing now. I do not enjoy the heat on these, the capsaicin. If it were me, I would try and figure out how to use some like baking spice to like give you some of that spikiness and sparkiness. Okay, so this tastes like nothing. but it's not offensive. No, I'm sorry. I don't like that heat. I enjoy spicy food, but this is spicy water. Spicy water. There's a little bit of melon in here too, or at least it's giving that sort of feeling out of it. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, because not offensive. 3, because the spice is offensive. 4, because this is just weird. All right. 1, 2, 3. So let's take a look. In 4th place, we've got the Spiritless Kentucky 74. I had big hopes for this one because in theory, they actually do use bourbon in the process of making this. There isn't bourbon in the ingredients. Non-alcoholic oak distillate. I assume that's what that is talking about. Water, natural flavors, glycerin, sugar, citric acid, xanthan gum, sodium benzoate, and potassium sorbate. Those last 2 are preservatives. Okay, but then in 3rd place, we have Free Spirits, which is this guy. Ingredients: water, natural flavor, sugar, D-ribose, citric acid, taurine, niacin, potassium sorbate, preservative, fruit and vegetable juice for color, and pyridoxine, which is vitamin B6. This one has vitamins in it. Oh, it has taurine, if I didn't say that. But yeah, it's weirdly spicy, and I think they're using the vitamins and the taurine to something in it is way too spicy. Okay, last, this is the Lyre's American Malt. This company is in the UK. Maybe they should taste some American malts because they don't taste like this. It's fine. It's not offensive in any way. I could totally see you like maybe throwing that into an old fashioned, and because of that extra sugar, that might bring some of those flavors through. But as it stands, I just don't think any of these have enough sweetness in them to be whiskey or whiskey alternatives. And so all of the flavors are ratcheted way down. And I understand they're trying to make a low caloric beverage here, but because all those flavors don't have that sweetness to enhance the flavor, it doesn't come through. And of course, that gives you Ritual 0 proof. And in this, we've got filtered water, sugar, natural flavors, xanthan gum, citric acid. Interestingly, most of these brands are not focused on the sober lifestyle. They're just looking at the trend of wellness, and it's being driven by what's called the sober curious movement. People that drink alcohol but are mindful about alcohol's impact on their physical and mental state. So that's all pretty interesting. Now let's move into cocktails. Since most of these recommend being enjoyed that way, I'm keeping this pretty straightforward. I'm doing a highball using another NA product. This is the Bitters and Soda, the Burnt Orange from Green Bar Distillery. I have a little bit left in the can here, so let's sort of set my palate. Okay, you get the bitters. The botanicals are there. Yeah, it's fine. I think it's a good product if you just want to do quick cocktails at home and you've got the alcohol and you just have the cans there. All right, so as you can see, I have the very classy glasses that I got from Walmart. A little bit of a lemon twist in there, and the extra fancy ice that I got from my fridge. The cocktail is worth 25% of the score. And from my left to my right, we have Ritual. We've got the Lyre's, Free Spirits, Kentucky 74. I just kept them in the order that they came out of the blind in. So let's go ahead and start out with the Ritual, currently in the lead. I'm gonna give this a little swirly swirl. I mean, all I'm getting off this is that lemon that yeah, it just feels like it's missing something. It's fine. There's a little bit of something there. It's hard to say whether it came out of that can or not. That's pleasant. That's quite pleasant. But it might be that because this was so subdued, that the others won't do as well. But this is pleasant. All right, Free Spirits. This was the one that had all that heat on it. Again, not getting much besides that lemon zest smell. Okay. All right, and finally, the Kentucky 74. I'm actually hoping like that oak funk helps this. Okay, let me just run through these one more, but I think that's what is happening. Here I am getting the maltiness now, finally. Can't get it in the pure shot, but that lemon and the little bit of sweetness that the green bar adds is bringing it up a little bit. Like I said, they're not sweet enough. Yeah, so these two taste like they've done something, so I'm gonna go 1 for the Lyres. I'm actually gonna go 2 for the Kentucky Spirit because that is helping bring out some of those flavors. Three Ritual, 4 Free Spirit. All right, so that's what we've got. Finally, let's talk about aesthetics from 2 standpoints. What the liquid looks like, let's call that 10%, and then what the bottle looks like, 15% of the score. First, let's talk about the liquid. So of all of these, I believe that the Lyres looks and acts the most like what I would say whiskey does. These are a little lighter. There's some particulates in here, which is a little weird. I don't know. Hopefully that didn't come from the glass, but yeah, it's a little lighter. I would wanted this to be a darker color. Maybe a little tense more towards Scotch. Some of the Scotches. This Ritual to me, I think at a cocktail looks totally fine, but this is not a clear liquid. The haziness is kind of a problem for me for the neat. In a cocktail, obviously it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's hazy. It looks like what whiskey looks like if you maybe leave it out overnight. Yeah, it's just hazy and weird. And then Free Spirits. I mean, none of these have like whiskey legs by any stretch of the imagination. So just by appearance, I'd say that the Free Spirits 2, Lyres 1, the Kentucky 74 3, and the Ritual with the weird I don't know, flocculation or haziness, which I'm not a fan of. So let's talk about bottles. I will say that in clear last place is Free Spirits. I've had a look at this. This is way too busy, dudes. Do something different. The chain, breaking the chain, that's sort of interesting. This is weird, the way it bubbles. That's why I was saying the liquid looks weird too. Label is just, looks cheap, bad. I give you props for having a cork, but that's about it. I would get rid of all that text there. Put it on the back if you need to. Yeah. Then Ritual, I don't mind this bottle. Like, the label's quite nice, embossed. I think maybe it's a little bit too modern, too mod for whiskey or spirits brand. I would expect to see this more in maybe a vodka brand. There's some gins out there, but whiskey brands, you don't typically see something sort of this modern. I don't mind it. Again, weird bubbles, and then you can also see the viscosity of this is a lot higher too. Also props on the cork. In general, I like this design overall. I don't necessarily like it for a bottle of whiskey. Then these two, and this one is going to be tough because I really think this is an attention grabber on the bar. Looks nice. The cap, it is not corked, is a nice color, nice metallic. Just, it's a very nice design. Even though it's got text on the front of the bottle, it doesn't like stand out too much. That bear with the guns and everything looks really nice. It says American Malt on it. You know, it's a little deceiving. It's got some little weird bird up here. But yeah, overall, I really like this bottle. But then I look at Kentucky 74, very classic, but then it's got these lovely off-white embossings on it in the paper. This is tough. And I think I'm just going to keep these the way they are. I'm going to keep this as number one, even though it doesn't have cork. This is corked, big cork. Overall, again, the liquid looks a little viscous to me, but that's fine. But I really do like this. So, I mean, I would say this is really, 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 really close. Like, this still has weird bubbles on top of it. So does this. This less, this almost none. So yeah, that's the way I'm going to go with these. And why, you might be asking, why would I rate the bottle so much higher? Well, if you're going to have this on your bar, you're going to have it out there for guests. You want people to be at least attracted to it and try it out, maybe give it a shot. If something looks weird like this, people might be hesitant. This isn't, like I said, this is nice. I appreciate the cork, but it is what it is. Coming in last place, it was a close fight for last, is Free Spirits. It's got that weird spiciness in it. Bottle could be considerably better. The liquid is weird. Like, look, it still has weird bubbles at the top. I don't know what is going on there. Then in third place, we have Kentucky 74. I wanted to really like this. I just think you're missing like the sweetness of bourbon. I mean, like, if you're going to say you made this from bourbon and it's not sweet, I don't understand. All of these need sweetness. But this one, I really had high hopes for because they said it was made from bourbon, and it probably is. But it's number 3 for me. Then we have Ritual, which, you know, I think overall it's a pretty good pick. I think it's been in the industry for a while. Yeah, I would give it a shot. Like, I would keep that around. I might experiment with some of these, what would happen if I added some sweetness to it. And then, of course, winning is the Lyres. Even though I didn't feel like they did enough to win the flavor competition, it was not offensive. It didn't have that stupid spiciness to it. It didn't have this weird taste to it, which I'm going to guess is just a weird remnant oak char nonsense. I will say these three do not require refrigeration, and they say they'll last about 6 months. This one does require refrigeration, and they say it will last about 12 weeks. So if you might want to keep that in mind. I think that's kind of a hassle to me, but it is what it is. I don't know. Have you tried any of these? Should I try one of the other ones? I know Mondays has one. Are the gins better than these? I have to believe that the gins would be better. I was really hoping these would be much better, but I think the sweetness just kills them. I don't want to harp on it too much, but there are ways to sweeten this, and I know you're all trying to stay low carb and whatever. The most highest one of these was 15, which, God, I'm so surprised about. But there are sweeteners. There's stevia, there's allulose, there's sweeteners that you could put in these that would not impact the carb content and would still be natural. So think about that. I think that's the thing that these are completely missing. I also think they could put a hell of a lot more baking spices in here. Get rid of that capsaicin, is what I'm interpreting it as. Get rid of that spiciness. Like, I think spiciness in a cocktail is cool. It's not in a neat pour. I don't know. I was hoping these would be better. But if you've tried any of these, or I should try something else, leave comments. Let me know. If you wanted to try these and are in the St. Louis area, when we have our regular events, we will have one of these bottles on the bar for everyone out there to enjoy. So come by, check them out. I'm looking forward to some of the things we have coming up. We'll have more reviews. We're gonna do some more quick shots with entrepreneurs that come to the event about various topics. Check out these things, watch our content, check us out on TikTok, and I'll see you next time. To stay up to date, follow us on social. We are at Bourbon Fridays on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. See you next time.